Vernomatic Productions.
Are you ready?
Live from the Metal Mayhem Studios in Rochester, New York.
We are gold.
And heard around the world by metalheads just like you. This is Metal Mayhem ROC.
Heavy metal music.
Your weekly dose of metal music, interviews, album reviews, news, and more. Want to be part of the show? Send us a message through our website, metalmayhemroc.com, or hit us up on Facebook and Twitter. Search Metal Mayhem ROC. A proud member of the Pantheon podcast team.
It's getting nice and heavy.
Now, welcome our hosts, John the Vernomatic Verno, and direct from New Jersey, Metal Walt.
Good evening, everybody. Hope everyone's enjoying this February. It's cold out. Winds are picking up. Snow's everywhere. This weekend we got the Super Bowl, so everyone's all locked in and waiting for that. But, we're back tonight with a really cool episode. 2025, we came out of the gate full bore, ready to go, and Metal Walt's here again this week with a cool interview. Walt, what do you got for us?
Ron Bumblefoot Thal, best known for the guitarist of Guns N' Roses during their rebirth in the early 2000s, late 90s, when all the original guys were gone. But Bumblefoot is an accomplished guitar player. He's a musician, and he's releasing his first all-instrumental solo album in like 30 years. It's a killer album. He's got great guests on it. But the coolest part of the interview, John, is he's just like a regular guy. We're shooting the shit. We're talking about pizza wars in the state of New Jersey and New York, some crazy ideas for things he did when he was bored during the pandemic. It was almost like I was just like up in Rochester hanging out with you and your boys talking. We almost forgot about the album. But as we drew it back in, it became cool. It's a fun one.
Yeah, Ron's a good guy. I was editing this and, it was one of those I was laughing out loud in. So look forward to that. Recent episodes, if you missed some of them last week, we had Steve Hill, the Canadian blues rock singer, and his one-man band. A couple weeks ago, we celebrated Eddie Van Halen's 70th birthday. Beginning of the month, we had Brian Schlegel of Metal Blade and his new podcast. And listen, do us a favor. Head over to metalmayhemroc.com, sign up for the newsletter, join our community. You'll get alerts for new podcasts, new YouTube interviews, reminders for our radio show. And if you dig what we're doing here, do us a favor and leave a review, subscribe to the pod. That kind of stuff really does help. In the next couple weeks, next week, I have John Gallagher from Raven, their new one. This Friday, we have an interview with Robin McCauley, his new solo CD. Metal Walt, what do we have to look forward to from you?
Bro, I have a couple of interviews that are completed, and I'm not going to share all the secrets now because they're coming. But one of them that'll come up sooner than later it's a rather underground artist from the 80s hair scene that you might have forgotten about, but he's got a big history for yet just a short period of time in the 80s, but it was a big one and a controversial one. And he shares all the details and throws all the drama out on the table. It's a must-hear.
All right, well, so let's get into this. Ron Bumblefoot Thal discussing pizza, heavy metal beards, and everything else in between. For my co-host, Metal Walt, I'm the Vernomatic, and we are Metal Mayhem ROC.
The new album, Bumblefoot Returns, was released on January 24th. I'm with Ron Bumblefoot Thal. So, hey, Ron, in a hypothetical scenario, with your good friend Mike Portnoy, if you guys had a beard off, who wins the beard off?
Well, if I unravel mine and pull it all the way down, I win. If it's based on color, he wins. He's got that blue, purple, whatever the hell he's dyeing it these days. I don't know.
Exactly. I was thinking, I think you guys, if you ever want to get out and do a gig on like Halloween, you guys could be like the ZZ Top guys.
ZZ Top of metal. Well, there's some other bearded folk out there that can outdo all of us. I mean, start with Zach. If you want to talk about metal beards, there's a lot of metal beards, and those metal beards are way more metal than our beards. That's for sure.
And the beards tell stories. And I think you're onto something, Ron. I think I have a new show idea. I saw something recently. Somebody put an episode out about, do these guys still have hair, or are they wearing wigs? But I think you're onto something. Heavy metal beards.
Yeah, it could Yeah, it's like if these beards could talk.
Exactly. If the beards could talk. So, all kidding aside, so hey, Bumblefoot returns. It's your 9th studio album, your solo album, but it's your all first instrumental album since your debut, which was called The Adventures of Bumblefoot many years ago. So, interesting observation on your debut. All the song titles are about animal diseases. So, first off, why did you pick Bumblefoot to be your name versus all of the other diseases that are on the album?
Okay, my wife is a veterinarian, and back then she was in school studying, and I would hang out with her while she's studying, and I picked up a few tidbits of information here and there, and one of them was this ailment, ulcerative pododermatitis, and the nickname for it was Bumblefoot. And I just thought it was really silly. I remember reading that turkeys get it, and one of the treatments is to rub hemorrhoid cream on their foot. So it was just so dumb that I wrote a song. I got inspired and I wrote a song called Bumblefoot, a silly song. So then when I had my first record deal on Shrapnel Records, the guitar-centric label, and I put out that album, I told them, like, all right, I got this concept idea where it's called The Adventures of Bumblefoot. And Bumblefoot is like a superhero that's half bee, half foot. And the cover art would be this foot bee thing flying overhead and all this destruction and stuff going on below, comic bookish. And every song will be named after a weird animal disease. And I went through all different ones and picked all the ones that I thought would be fitting to make songs out of. Scrapey, blue tongue, ip, fistulous withers, rinderpest, strawberry foot rot, all the different weird animal diseases. And then I wrote a bunch of weird instrumental guitar songs. And originally, I did not want to make an instrumental guitar album. I used to make that kind of music just for my own amusement, but my heart was always in being in a band like Kiss, the Beatles. Those are the two bands that got me into music when I was like 5 years old and wanted to do what I'm doing. And just raised on classic rock, all the stuff coming out in the 70s and the 80s, and that's what I wanted to do, is be in one of those kind of bands, one where there's vocals, where every member is so important and contributes so much to the sound of that band. And I didn't even want to be a guitar player. I just wanted to be someone that contributes. I wanted to be a contributor. So whether I was singing or playing bass, originally I wanted to be a drummer, but I sucked at 5 years old. Go figure. And I wanted to then be a bass player because I like Gene Simmons' persona, but I was too little to take on a bass. So I went to a music store to take bass lessons and start, and they lied to me and said, well, in order to play bass, you have to play guitar first. So if you do 2 years of guitar lessons, you can graduate up to bass. So they just conned me into getting 2 years of guitar lessons, and I stuck with it. And I studied the academics and jazz and classical and everything, music theory, all of it. And when I wasn't doing that, I had my band with local kids my age, and we would write songs and make demos and just using cassette recorders and play concerts in our backyard and in the basement and at our school we went to. And did everything a band would do and just kept on going and going and going. And I stuck with it. And just, if you stick with it, it happens. It just,
Exactly.
Yeah.
And here it is 40 years. So I'm gathering in your hypothetical Kiss world, you were Gene Simmons. I was Ace Frehley in the late 70s. So I still have a picture. I still have a picture of myself from some parade. I think I was about 9 or 10 years old. I got my Miami Dolphins jacket and my Ace Frehley makeup on there. So you were Gene?
Mm-hmm. So we could have formed a band.
Yeah, see that?
Youngest Kiss tribute band.
Us and 700,000 other kids at that age.
Seriously. That band launched so many other bands, musicians. It inspired so many kids to want to do what they do. And yeah, so that was my goal, is to be in a band like that. And my whole life, I was a singer, songwriter, was like I'm dead. Still am a singer, songwriter, and doing all of that. It's just when I signed that record deal, they told me that they were going to start putting out vocal music. So I was like, okay, I signed. And then as soon as I signed, they said, all right, we want you to start off with an instrumental guitar album. So I did The Adventures of Bumblefoot. It came out in 1995. And then right after that, immediately right back to doing music with vocals and putting out albums and being in bands and everything that did that. And every once in a while on the albums, I might stick in a little instrumental guitar song, the same way on a Van Halen album there would be like little guitars coming in before the song, little guitars, or Spanish Fly and things like that. So it would be that kind of thing. But then the pandemic hit and we had all this time on our hands to do everything that you always think about doing but just don't make time for. So I had done an acoustic EP in 2008, and people would ask, hey, would you ever do another one of those? So one of the first things I did is I put out 2 little acoustic EPs. And I put out another instrumental guitar song called Planetary Lockdown. Quite a creative title. How did I come up with that? And then I just said, you know what? I haven't done another instrumental guitar album in such a long time, just completely no vocals, just guitar being the voice. So I started writing, started working on it, and by 2023 it was done. But also during this time, me and Derek, the keyboardist of Sons of Apollo, we started writing music that could have been the third Sons of Apollo album, but it became a new band called Whom Gods Destroy. And then there was the band Art of Anarchy, which was some old friends of mine that had this band, and I've just been supportive of them and co-wrote and played and recorded and produced and everything and made that happen for them. And they wanted to do another album too. So I'm working on 3 albums at once. And there was also bands I was producing and albums I was mixing in the studio and things like that. There's a band called the Dodies, Dodies, the Dodies. And they're just phenomenal. It's just 2 dudes. One sings, plays guitar. He has this tortured soul, Kurt Cobain-ish kind of vibe to him. An incredible voice. Some people compare him to Justin from The Darkness. And he just has a multi-dimensional, incredible voice. He could just do so much with his voice. And the drummer plays the whole drum set with just one arm and plays bass on a keyboard with his left hand and sings backing vocals. And they don't use a click track. They don't use samples. When I record them, it's just the 2 of them in a room staring at each other, playing like it's a gig. And the first or second take is the one. And they're fantastic. So I was working on their album also, recorded their 3rd album in 2023, recorded their 2nd album 2021, and came out in 2022. So that's a bunch of music all coming to a head at once. So by mid-2023, my album was done with the mixing. I could have stuck it on Spotify the next day, but I wanted to do more than that. I wanted it to be more of an event when this album came out. So I had some big plans for things. But also, you have these other bands that are making their music videos that I'm finishing the mixing on, that had record deals and everything. I had 10 other people and 3 record labels that were waiting on me to pull the trigger and finish up their stuff. So rather than telling all of them that they have to wait for me to do my thing for a year, I put mine to the side and made sure that those albums were out and done and business was taken care of and everything was good. And then by early 2024, I started working on mine again, which was all year just working on the art and the rollout plan for this album, which consists of a lot of stuff. Starting off with a music video, an 8-minute animated music video, which is just so much work making that happen. I started it myself, And then this wonderful friend of mine, Radek Rabinski, that has a software company called Gloomyware, he said, let me help you with this thing. And he made it so much better. And he also offered to make a video game, a Simon in Space. That's the first single that came out, a Simon in Space video game. And we did, and it was supposed to come out with the single, but Apple at the very last minute flagged it and said, we got to make sure this isn't spam, or we're not releasing it, not allowing it on the store until we give it review, and they still haven't reviewed it and taken care of that. So we held off on releasing this little retro space shooter, Space Invaders type of video game. And it's a free game. That's just another way to enjoy the music. So the songs are playing while you're playing the video game.
Oh, I have a question about the album art. I don't want to get past that first, right? Because before we get into the songs, I mean, the cover art looks like it's something out of a 60s sci-fi movie, yet it ties back. When you do watch the Simon in Space video, it's kind of one and the same. So describe what's going on the cover art.
Well, this goes back to my first Adventures of Bumblefoot album 30 years ago. It had this bee-foot flying overhead and all this destruction and chaos all around it. So I thought, if there were 30 years of evolution, what would that album look like now if I was making it? So I called it Bumblefoot Returns, with the same vibe, the Star Wars sort of, or Star Trek, and just the old retro kind of title look to it. And instead of this bee-foot thing, it's my double neck guitar that's always by my side, but as a spaceship. And my cat Simon is piloting it. If you look real close, you can see my cat, and that is my cat, Simon, in a spacesuit flying the spaceship. So
that's cool.
What I did is I just spent many nights making very weird art that I was using for the music video. And then when it was time to make the album art, I tried to make the spaceship, and it was coming out awful. So I hired an artist to make the 2D spaceship, and then I hired a 3D artist to turn it into a 3D model so that it could be angled in any direction, any lighting, anything, and it doesn't have to be redrawn. You just do a 2D render of it, and it could be used in the music video and the video game and everything. So I made a 3D model of that. And then the album artist started taking all of those elements from the music video and putting them into the album art. All this weird stuff, all these things that would be a challenge for my cat. So you have space mice and fish and birds and asteroids made of cheese and everything that he would just love to lunge at.
There you go. That's a perfect description of what's going on. It's very, very vivid. But hey, Ron, going back to Simon in Space, I mean, Simon in Space and Planetary Lockdown, I mean, I describe these as very frantic, raucous, and boisterous, yet melodic songs, but made you open up your album with two complex and really over-the-top pieces of music.
Well, definitely with Simon in Space, I imagined the feeling. And now I've done a ton of music for TV shows and video games and horror movies and all kinds of stuff like that. So especially when I'm writing instrumental music, I'm picturing something. I'm picturing something visual and almost trying to score what's happening as if I'm scoring a movie. So what I imagined for the opening song and the opening of the album is it just kicks in as if you were woken up out of your sleep in the middle of a tornado. Just like that chaos of your brain is trying to register what's going on. Like what the hell? What? All of that. So it kicks in like that, then settles down and goes through levels, dynamic levels, you could say, where, let's say that song, it has its melodic moments. And I imagined it as if you were traveling through uncharted space, where you just suddenly wake up in an asteroid field and dodging a million things and like, what the hell? And then you get through that. And then you're singing beautiful stuff. That's like the nice melody. And then it's like, oh, more stuff coming at you and just your own little space adventure. So by the time the song was done, that's what it felt like. And tied to that is during the pandemic, got my cat Simon, and he has this round bed that he would sit in by the window and look outside, and it looked like he was in this little circular spaceship. So I made, just to amuse myself, pretty much everything I do is to amuse myself. It's ridiculous. These silly things I do. I could tell you a lot of those. I made an Instagram account called Simon in Space, where it's just Simon in his bed in space, in different space scenarios. And yeah, I've done a lot of weird things that no one knows about, just for my own amusement. I made a website that is the worst website you will ever see in this day and age. It looks like it was made in like one of those free sites from the early 90s. And it's all pictures of poorly folded toilet paper in hotel rooms. When they make the triangle in a hotel room of the toilet paper, whenever they do a really bad job of it, I took a picture of it and gave it a rating and a description, and it's called tpfail.com.
Okay, we're going to put that in the credentials underneath your website. You do know that, right?
Oh, God. Yeah, so that's just something I did for my own amusement. I made a website, and feel free to check that out. tpfail.com. It's horrible.
Metal Mayhem ROC.
So Ron, talking about like your crafting of TV music, right? The song Moonshine Hootenanny, right? So I'm in the car with my wife last week getting ready for this interview, and I'm listening to the album, and she says, "Here we go again, Lance. What the fuck is this music you're listening to?" So I'm calling this the "What the fuck is this" song. But this one feels like it could be out of Gilligan's Island or Benny Hill or SpongeBob. So frame this one up.
I think most of my music, you could generalize it as what's the term? Pregnancy prevention. Like it works better than a condom. It's definitely a deterrent.
It's a birthing deterrent music.
Exactly. Yes. I'm having a brain fart and forgetting the term, but yeah, that's how I could describe my music. Is it inhibits? All right. Anyway, I
got the term for it. I got the term for Ron. It's cock blocking music.
Wait, birth control. I couldn't think of I was having a brain fart. Cock blocking? Yeah, I would say everything blocking. It's definitely birth control music. You put this on and nobody's getting pregnant. So that song, I was watching a documentary. I was just at home, and it was on old blues players. And this one thing came on that had this groove to it, and I was like, "Oh, I like that!" And suddenly I just felt like grabbing my guitar, and I did. I just grabbed my guitar and just started playing that riff. I just made it up right there on the spot, and just. And then pictured a voice almost doing something like that in the background, which I did on the guitar. And and then just built a song out of that. Like gave it a stop with a guitar riff that I just came up with, whatever. I didn't even remember what I did, just whatever spontaneously. And then back to the riff, and then again, and then just take it to another chord and back, and then bring it to something that has a little singable kind of. Then repeat it, and then the second time around, just start bringing in the amusing, like what the hell's going on stuff, and just kept building. And then the middle, as I was writing all this Whom Gods Destroy stuff, which had a lot of like low chromatic, very dark, ominous stuff, like that was creeping into the songwriting. Just whatever I was living at any particular moment or whatever I was just knee deep in and had my headspace in, that's what would come out in the songs. So it was, I just called it like a photo album of, here's what I did during the pandemic.
Yep. So talking about stuff you've done for, let's say TV shows or soundtracks, is there anything out there that we may have heard that maybe we're not aware is you've penned that you say, oh shit, that's a commercial, that's something? What's a couple of pieces of music that you may say, hey, Metal Walt, did you know this is me?
Did you ever see a show it was on Spike TV called MXC? It was like this Japanese video game, not video game, like a Japanese game show. And it was almost like Jackass, but like a game show. So I did the theme to that TV show.
Okay.
Backing music I've heard it everywhere. Like in the early 2000s, like pretty much every single show on MTV, I had music in the background of Hogan Knows Best, the Osbournes, whatever it is, you name it. All of those shows. What else? Oprah Winfrey, WWE Raw, a bunch of those. Tom Brokaw, NFL, MLB. What else? I remember one time I was watching Smallville on Channel 11, and there was a scene where they were like in a bedroom, and there was like a radio that was on playing music, and it was playing one of my songs. It's like, So You Think You Can Dance. So You Think You Can Dance. That, it was in there. A McDonald's commercial used some of it. Just random places. And every once in a while, someone will send me like a video of something. It's like, I just heard some of your music on this show. And they send me like some little clip of it. Like there's some movie that just came out in France that's using one of my songs. I have no idea. They don't even tell me. Like, they just use it, and then when I get ASCAP checks, for the royalties and stuff, it's like, oh. And if I get to see any kind of listing of what was used where, it's like, oh, wow, I had no idea. Yeah.
Well, that's pretty cool. That's good. See, little known pieces of music that we may not have heard of coming to you right here on this interview. So keep an ear out, because it just may be Bumblefoot playing.
You know that metal show?
Yes, of course.
The theme song. I did the theme song. Right on the... That's mine.
We're good friends with Don and Jim. They've been on our show a million times. And I was going to ask you, Ron, what did that little piece of music do for your, let's say, awareness? Did it boost your awareness of people saying, well, I like that little piece of music in the beginning, and who wrote that?
Oh, maybe some people. I don't know. I don't know if people even knew that I wrote that. But yeah, so there's that one. Yeah, Don and Jim are great, and Eddie. Such a wonderful show that was. It was so good. I'll be seeing Don pretty soon. We're going to do brunch. We do brunch, me and my wife and Jerry Gaskill, King's X drummer, and his wife, and Don Davidson. Every once in a while, we do brunch. And then I have to hit up Jim and say, hey, we're doing brunch. And he makes fun of us doing brunch. Yeah, so we have this whole thing where I tell him, it's like, you got to come do brunch. Because it's like
brunch,
such an unmetal thing. It's like, hey.
It's not a metal thing, but brunch is good. I mean, it's like a giant buffet of everything, right?
Well, yeah, yeah, sometimes we do dinner too. Sometimes we do things that don't involve, mass eating and drinking. But yeah, and we're with the ladies, and ladies like brunch. So yeah.
That's how it goes.
We do brunch.
That's how it goes.
It's a very
you do brunch.
It's an unmetal thing to do, but it ends up being a metal brunch. And then I'll send a text to Jim saying, hey, you got to come do brunch with us. And he'll just rip on us for doing brunch. So I think our next one is in like 2 weeks. We're going to.
All right. Well, if you're ever up in the Morris County area, you can hit me up, and you might get a special guest, Metal Walt and his wife, to join you for brunch.
We'll do brunch.
We can do an Italian style in Morris County. It's more like mussels and linguine and clams and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, we got to do like Sunday 3-hour lunch into dinner nonstop food fest with 7 courses. One of those
There you
things.
go. Exactly. So, hey, Ron, back to the new album.
No, screw the album. Let's talk about food.
We could do that too. But
What's your favorite pizza place up there?
oh well, there's a lot of them. I mean, listen, I live in East Hanover, which is primarily Italian American. So there's lots of them.
Good. Yeah, there's no
tons
bad
of them.
one. And I
no, there's no bad
say,
ones.
So, were you pissed off when New Haven was dubbed the pizza capital? Did you hear about that?
I saw that. Yeah, I saw that, and I'm like, New Haven, Connecticut, like not New Jersey, not New York, not the Bronx, Westchester, somewhere, Brooklyn. I don't know.
Bees and Bensonhurst. I mean, come on. Yeah, but they have good pizza. They got their thing going, and but this is definitely a battle that I would take on as far as pick and choose your battles. I would choose the pizza battle.
I just want to know what's so good about that pizza. Like, is it New Haven as a whole? Is it a particular pizzeria in New Haven? I didn't really research it, but yeah, it kind of doesn't feel right. I mean, I'm not knocking Connecticut, but maybe I am, but Connecticut's the insurance capital of the world. That's what they're known for. Right?
And now they're known for pizza. And this reminds me of being 10 years old when I would write on the wall of the school, rock number 1, disco sucks, and come back the next day and someone crossed it out. Disco number 1 is like, this battle is on. Like, I feel like a very petty, immature child right now talking about this pizza war, but I am willing to go there. Absolutely.
I'm with you. I'm with you.
Amazing pizza. And of course, New York. If anything, New Jersey is just, the baby brother of New York when it comes to pizza. And it stands on its own. But I still say New York is the capital and New Jersey absolutely holds its own. New Haven, I mean, first of all, it's a town. It's not the whole Connecticut. So New Haven, where you could say all of New York and all of New Jersey has great pizza. Does all of Connecticut have great pizza? I do not know.
I don't know.
Yeah, but
I mean, they have Mystic Pizza. Maybe it's the Mystic Pizza movie thing from the 80s. I don't know, but I don't think so. That's a stretch. That's a Hollywood thing.
So this is, I would go slice to slice, toe to toe. Absolutely.
Maybe we need to call Dave Portnoy up and ask him what it is about Connecticut that makes him. But then again, what credibility does he have? Because he takes one bite and then he makes a rating off a slice.
He says it's
Come
one
on
bite,
now.
But then he has like 3 more right after. He's like, bite, crust. And then he gives the rating. And isn't he from Michigan? Is he even
what
from
does he know?
East Coast?
I don't know. I actually don't know. I just know he's really popular.
Yeah, I watch all his videos. Yeah.
Anyway, so we can talk about pizza all day. So, Ron, back to the album. You bring in a guy like Steve Vai onto the album, and on the song Monstruoso, right? It's kind of has this Arabic guitar feel. It's a little noisy and disruptive and industrial. I don't know what that is in the background. All I know is it reminds me of Les Claypool from Primus has this instrument, this stand-up bass thing that's called a whamola, and it just sounds like a whamola. So I think you need to do I think you need to do music with Les Claypool. That's my recommendation. Metal Walt wants to see a Ron Bumblefoot Les Claypool collaboration. But when it comes to a guest, do you write the music and throw it over the fence and say, "Hey, Steve, I got this piece of music. I'm envisioning you on this," or does it go the other way around where you're talking to Steve Vai and then he says, "Hey, Ron, anytime you want me to come on your album, you just let me know and I'm glad to do it." And then you bring him on and then you write the music. Which way does it go?
The first way. I write a song. I don't plan on having a guest. And by the time the song is almost done, I'm hearing what it needs, and it needs something that other people can bring to the table better than I can. So that song needed an alien-like, not human type of guitar moment, a guitar solo. And Steve is the guy for that kind of stuff. I still can't figure out what the hell he did. I have no idea how he made that guitar solo. Like, and I asked him, and he wasn't even sure. He's like, I think I started with this, and I used this kind of gear and this pedal, and so yeah. So that's how it worked for all of the guests. Was I made the song and then said, all right, this song is outgrown me and needs other souls to contribute to make the song be what it can be.
So a song Once and Forever, this one, before I even heard it, and I had known from the press notes that Brian May was guesting, but I shit you not, Ron, I heard the song, and within 30 seconds in, I'm like, this is the one Brian's playing on, because it just feels like something Brian is on. It's kind of an old bluesy ballad, kind of a little 50s feel. I'm imagining, people dancing in a VFW hall or something like that, but more importantly, in what he contributed to, because it is great. How do you get somebody like that? Like, is it as easy as, I'm just going to go through my phone and here's Brian's number and I'm going to text him and he's going to say yes or no? Or is it like, holy shit, it's Brian May. I'm Ron Thal. I got some credibility, but I can't go to Brian. He's like a god. How's it work with that?
No, you reach out and like we had been in contact over the years, on and off, and more so in the past few years, because there's this festival that he's part of that I've been playing. It's a combination of astrophysics and music called Starmus. And so we've played together in that bunch of songs, and yeah, it's like we weren't strangers or anything. So when I was making that song and it was nearing the finish line and I'm listening to it, it's like there's so many guitar harmonies and just so much going on. And if I was going to take this one solo, this first solo, I would just be doing a poor imitation of him. Like I would be channeling, like I'd be saying, what would Brian May do right here? And it's like, why should I do that? And I should ask him. And he did it. He liked the song. He played on it. So yeah. And that's how it was with everybody. You ask. And if they have the time, if they like the song, and yeah.
Now, a song like Griggstown Crossing, I had read in another article that Joe Walsh declined the offer to play on the voice box segment, but this is a cool song. This is one of my favorites because it's kind of funky and jammy and groovy. Like if you were ever to play this one live, this would be a killer song. But is that actually true? Did he say no? This song has everything it needs. Can't be bothered.
Oh, it wasn't harsh or anything. Like it wasn't mean or anything like that. It was. I wrote that song and then I pictured for the solo part, like trading off back and forth. And I was like, who would be good for this kind of song? Like it has so much fretless, it feels almost Southern rock. And I pictured like a Frampton Walsh type of talk box solo thing. So I reached out to I knew his guitar tech. And asked him, was like, do me a favor, ask Joe if he would want to play on this thing. And he showed it to him and he got back to me and said that it's like the song sounds finished. Like he said, I have nothing to contribute to this. Like it sounds like it's already done. There's nothing for me to do. So once someone says no, to me, no means no. I'm not going to try and say, no, but it would be the guitar solo here. And no, if someone off the bat says, no, I accept that. It's like, thank you for listening. Thank you for considering. And that's it. So I did a solo where I channeled them, like Joe Walsh, like that whole era of great talk box guitar stuff.
Yeah.
Show Me the Way, Feel Like I Do, or all the Walsh, just I bomb out. Well, that great Eagles and Walsh stuff. So I pulled out the talk box and did a fretless solo where I'm just making phrases where something like I would picture them doing. And just came up with a solo. Yeah.
Try to remember.
Yeah, and that was it. So that was the final thing for the album. I was debating, should I have another guest? Because I don't want it to become just this like name-dropping Bumblefoot Variety Hour and Friends kind of thing. And it's like I just wanted people that I felt would make the song more of what it could be. That just have something about their sound, their style, their persona, their identity, their spirit. So he was the last one, and I asked him, and he turned that one down. I was like,
"Oh, but that's a good feeling, because that means you did your job and you did it well. So it's very validating, in a sense." Ron, I want to comment on. Well, I'm going to say this. I'm not a musician. I'm not a guitar player, right? I'm just a music fan. But Sintaku and Anveshana, as a non-musician, I'm going to ask you, why do you think that these are two of my most favorite songs on the album?
Ooh, interesting. Okay, so the first one, it is an Indonesian term of endearment. It means my love. So, cinta means love, ku is my. So, sayangku, cintaku, my darling, my love. So that, because it's just, you like the melody? Because that's my guess. The melody.
I just think they're both very melodic songs, and it goes back to that when I was a teenager in the late 80s, seeing Joe Satriani at the Bottom Line, and it was like, wait, there's a guy here that plays cool, loud guitar music, but the guitar becomes the vocal. So Sintaku is one of those songs, and then Avashana, it's just moody and dark and atmospheric, and it's like a total jam out song, and it's killer.
So, yeah. A lot of the stuff, I almost started writing vocals to them, and I just stopped myself. It's like, no, let the guitar be the voice. Let the guitar do the singing. So this album, there's some nice melodic singable melodies in there. And yeah, that's one of them. And so that and Anveshana, that one, I could hear the Satch thing. The way it's like it has that bed of boom, 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 and the melody on top. That's the first song that I wrote with the intention of making a full album. That's when I said, okay, I'm going to make an album. The first thing I did is I took that opening riff, which I had since I was 19. In 1989, I had that riff.
Wow.
And was like, oh, I got to make a song out of this. And I just never did. So I was like, all right, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to dust that off and just finally get that done and turn that into a song.
What does a riff like that sit around? Like you had it since you were 1989. Like, where is that? Is it riff in your head? Is it on a cassette somewhere?
It's just sitting in the back of the brain. It's like,
and speaking of cassettes, I hear you're merchandising cassettes. So how many did you produce, and how many do you think you're going to sell?
I have no idea, but as far as I'm concerned, these days, a lot of physical embodiment of music is more like a merch item that just happens to have playable music on it, and more people are listening on Shitify and things like that. But I wanted to make this album release, not just sticking it on there and that's that. No, all the things that I always loved about albums, it was all about the art. You know, it's like you're holding this art right in front of your eyes. And yeah, so my first album was on CD and cassette. So I said, I'm going to put it out on cassette.
Love
and
that.
not only is it on cassette, but it has a ton of art. A lot of art to it. So yeah, and information, like even the cassette, I wanted it to be full of art. I am willing to go broke manufacturing all of this stuff to put something into the world that is more than just, yeah. So this, I haven't even opened this yet, but the vinyl, yes, seeing it, just like holding it right up to your eyes. Feels good to do that. So this thing, it opens up double. It has 2 discs full of art. It's not just, paper sleeves. It's, the full art cardboard sleeves. And the second disc of it is a
Wow.
UV pressing with art.
That is awesome.
It's got a clear art so that even when you listen, so this side with the printing on it, there's no music on it. So the music is on sides 1, 2, and 3. If I squeezed everything onto one disc, it would have been too much music on each side and the sound quality would degrade. Once you pass around 22 minutes, you start losing a little bit of sound quality. If I made it on all 4 sides, you'd be switching the album too much. The sides would be too short. So I did 3 sides where the 4th side has art. But it's clear so that if you're watching on the 3rd side, you're seeing the spaceships fly, spinning. So yeah.
It's elaborate thought process, Ron. This is pretty cool. I still have an active cassette deck. I think I might have to buy one of your cassettes. I don't have vinyl, even though as good as it looks, but I think the tape would look nice in my collection up here.
I think so. I agree with you. But yeah, and it's just a lot of art to look at. A lot of stuff. And that's how it should be. Now, the CD I don't have in my hands yet, waiting for the manufacturer to deliver them. And it's pretty much just a mini version of the vinyl. It opens up like this. You have one pocket has the disc in it. The other one has a fold-out booklet, not a stapled booklet. It folds out so that you have 2 squares of art. So what you have now, this release is you have this vinyl full of art and the UV pressing of the disc. You have the CD with the fold out. You have the cassette with the art that folds out. You have this crazy music video. You have the video game, which we can't wait any longer. We got to get this thing out. So even if Apple people can't play it yet, it'll be available on the Google Play Store and on desktops and things like that. And hopefully Apple will do their thing soon, and I hope. And let's see, I'm going to load up the game while we chat, and then I'll show you a quick look at it. So there's all of that,
cool.
But there's more stuff coming up. I did a complete transcription book of the entire album, every single finger picking direction, musical notation, tablature for every single guitar track in every song. So that's going to come out. Now, the gear that I used is this thing from the company Line 6. It's called the Helix pedal, and it simulates every pedal you can imagine, every guitar amp, every speaker cabinet, every microphone, the distance, everything. It's like a whole virtual world of gear in one pedal. And I use that for all the guitar sounds on the album. And you can make some weird sounds that would be very challenging to make in this analog world. So I have all of those sounds that people with the pedal can download and get all the weird guitar sounds that I made for this album. So there's that. Now, I've teamed up with Deco Records, great company.
Yep.
So they are going to make it available in retail. So if you went to Newberry Comics, might be there. If not, they can get it for you. It's in their system. They're teamed up with Cargo Records in the UK. So same thing over there. So they're taking care of all the retail stuff. And what else? Now, they are into the comic book world, which is something I always wanted to do. So we're going to do a Bumblefoot comic book as well. So that is something that I have to just get my brain, get the ball rolling and start writing some weird stories for a comic book. And I have a hot sauce company, Bumblefoot's Hot Sauce. So
Okay.
I went through, I've had it for a dozen years. And I went through all the titles, like what would be a good hot sauce name that could inspire a good sauce? And Moonshine Hootenanny. I'm picturing a Louisiana-style biting red sauce, but with boiled down moonshine, flavoring it up, some kind of whiskey, something. So I'm going to make a Moonshine Hootenanny hot sauce. And what else? Is that it? Trying to think. So that's a lot. This is everything. I want this to be a fun release for the album for people, not just, okay, new music out. Like there's all this artwork from the physical stuff. And the video game is for free also. It's not a pay thing or anything. It's just another way to enjoy the music. I will show it to you right now.
This live coming at you here. Look at this, guys.
No.
Simon in Space, the video premiere only for Metal Mayhem ROC.
So it has all the characters from the music video, and you're Simon in the spaceship, and you just hold it down, and you go to town. And you start shooting the space mice. You get the power-up coins, and some more of them. Yeah, now these things shoot at you, so you gotta shoot them. But yeah, dude, get that? All right, I gotta watch the screen. Gotta make sure you can see what I'm doing. Get that? Now another one. Oh, wow! All right, now these guys are coming, so we gotta get them too while dodging the. Good. And now up here, look at these guys. And they're shooting. All right, let's go. Get him, get him, get him. Get close. Up. Okay, so.
Wow.
But it gets more and more as the game goes on. Yeah, so fun stuff. It's going to be a fun album release. Yes.
And the album is out as of today, the 24th of January. Ron, where can we find all about this album and where can fans buy it? And your socials.
Okay, my socials, very easy. Just anything Bumblefoot. Bumblefoot. So if you're on X, Facebook, Instagram, Threads, YouTube, all of that, Bumblefoot. TikTok, it's Bumblefoot Official. Somebody already got Bumblefoot, but I don't really use TikTok much. I'm too old for that thing. So,
Yes.
So then you go to bumblefoot.com. There's a very detailed discography section where it has hundreds of links to songs that I've played on as a guest, bands I've produced, links to their stuff. There's bands I've played with, links to that. There's like a ton of music to explore in the discography section. All the merch, Simon in Space pet bowls, all kinds of things. So you could get that there. There's plenty of bundles where you get the album along with a shirt, along with this, with that, and a poster, and this is signed, and all that kind of stuff. So, yeah, so all the business, the merch stuff, bumblefoot.com. And then you can also get from decoentertainment.com.
Yes.
They have it there. And as of yesterday, I could find the link, but I believe it's Cargo Records UK. .com or .uk. Let me double check. But they have it as well for all the UK British viewers. Let me see if I can find it. But yeah, you can pretty much, it'll be findable for sure. So decoentertainment.com and bumblefoot.com.
Yes, we are pretty close with Charlie from Deco. We do a lot of stuff for him. So good guy, great company. He gets a lot of great artists, so it's good stuff. So Ron, before we let you go, I mean, we don't want to walk away without at least talking a little bit about your Guns N' Roses era. You were in the band from 2006 through 2014. It was quite a journey for you. Played all over the world, it seems like. But Chinese Democracy, just highlight what this was for you. What were some of your best memories from this period, and maybe challenges? Because we've read up that you had a bad auto accident during this period, and it led you to a rather difficult period. So what were some of the highs and lows of this stage of your life, and what'd you do to pull out of it?
Life happens, and just like that car accident, it was in the band while it happened. So the challenge of that was I couldn't make fists, I couldn't close my fingers, I couldn't raise my arms. I have permanent nerve damage in both arms that I had to work back from. And during shows, my tech would have to put the guitar on me and take it off me. I couldn't even remove it. And definitely had to come up with lots of concoctions to get through shows. A bottle of Jägermeister with 16 Advil and Tramadol and whatever can just get through the show without just going crazy from the pain. Because it was, it was a definite nonstop pain issue for like a year. And doctors just kept putting drugs on top of drugs to try and put a Band-Aid over the wound instead of treating the actual problem. So finally, after a year of that, I just found one doctor that was like, look, we need to get to the root of it all. And it was all about just reducing inflammation through food and changing my diet, going on a big cleanse and starve, like 112 days. And just after 3 weeks, all the pain went away just from changing the diet. Like all the drugs and all the crap that these doctors were just loading me up on and just putting me into the pain management industry, it wasn't helping. It was just creating new side effects that you need another drug to combat those side effects. And next thing you know, you're just loaded up with steroids and all kinds of things that are barely working. And it's just destroying your existence. So cleaning all of that out and just getting back to being healthy, eating healthy food, eating specific things at specific times and specific amounts. And this doctor, he went through vials of my blood, a guy named Angelo Baccelleri in Westchester. He saved my life. He took like 5 vials of blood, analyzed them all, and figured out what was going on in my body and how to optimize, I guess you could say. It's like, okay, you're just completely devoid of vitamin D from all the steroids that they put you on. Your cortisol is through the roof, and it's starting to screw with your adrenal glands and like all this stuff. And he figured out what I needed to do just naturally to fix that. And I tell you what, a year of indescribable, unlivable hell, after 3 weeks, I was back.
Wow.
And after 3 weeks, the pain was down. I could function again. And yeah, absolutely saved my life. And I pretty much, other than the New Jersey pizza, I stick to that regimen of mostly it's a paleo type diet is what I needed from my body for it to work. It's not the same for everybody. But that is what got me through it. Yeah, that's the only reason I'm still here, because I was definitely at the end. Yeah.
Well, happy to hear that, Ron. It's good stuff to know, and you're bringing this new music to us. We love it. It's good times for you, man. I'm really glad we got a chance to get to know each other and speak. And we will get pizza someday in Jersey. I'm going to promise you that.
Mm-hmm. Down here in Stetsville, Jersey, there's some good stuff too. So we're gonna have to.
All right. Okay. So I got one last question before we finish this interview. I'm a big New York Islanders hockey fan, and I read that you did some music for these guys. What was that? And where was this music? Where did I hear this music?
The 2008-2009 season, all their promos had this music. It was like bum 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 ba-da-dum, 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 ba-da-dum. Oh, and that was my music that I made for those promos. Yeah.
Okay. Did you ever get down to the arena, the old Coliseum, and meet the general manager at the time, Gar Snow, any of the players? Nothing?
No. I just made the music.
Those were some lean times for the Islanders, I will tell you that. But the new album, Bumblefoot Returns, out now. You can get it at Deco Music and on bumblefoot.com. So, Ron, it was great to have you on, and we wish you the best of luck with this album. So just as a reminder, head over to metalmayhemroc.com and sign up for our email newsletter, as this is the best way to stay updated on new podcast and YouTube episodes and concert reviews. And join us live on Monday nights on Metal Devastation Radio for our live radio show. And if you like what we're doing, please subscribe to the podcast and leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. So for my guest, Ron Bumblefoot Thal, I'm Metal Walt, and this is Metal Mayhem ROC.
Metal for life.
Thank you for listening to Metal Mayhem ROC. Check out our website at metalmayhemroc.com for information on podcasts, archives, links to all our live radio shows, and all sorts of info. Please like, follow, and share with everyone, even your non-metal friends. And always remember to keep it heavy.